Hey folks, this is Kelani. With another patch comes another round of armor sets and new weapon models that will hopefully make the cut. And by the cut, I mean make it into your favourite transmog sets. It's always a blast when new dungeons or raids come around and there's that one weapon that you see and just think, oh my god, yes, I am building an entire set around that because it looks amazing. Maybe you'll see something like that from either Nazjatar or Mechagon, because in patch 8.2 we won't be just getting a new raid, but we'll be getting a dungeon, a mega dungeon at that, right at the exact same time. So all of this new gear is going to be made available a few weeks after patch 8.2 releases, from what I can remember, and that's when Season 3 of Battle for Azeroth is going to start. I'm sure we'll have all manner of other bits and bobs given to us through the questing experiences in Nazjatar and the Mechagon zone, but the real good stuff always comes from the higher end raiding and dungeon adventuring. So that's what we're going to have a look at today. We have each armor type set and all colour variants, including the shinier mythic versions to check out from the Nazjatar raid, all of the weapons available from the Nazjatar raid, as well as a handful of weapons with some fun new models that come from the Mechagon Mega Dungeon. So let's hop right in and have a look at these new weapons first. As you might expect from a Naga based raid, quite a lot of these weapons will follow the same theme, a Naga theme. Everything seems to be made of various levels of smooth metal, with one or two sections which are dedicated solely to this glow effect. Everything here has a glow on it or in it, whether that be the internal glow, the purple on most of these weapons on screen, or the external glow on weapons like the polearms. I think they look really good. Nothing feels weirdly out of place, and most of these should look cool with the new sets that are coming with the Eternal Palace. We'll get to those in just a touch. It looks like we have some decent variety in the weapon set too. There's a few daggers, a few staves, a polearm or two, and even another set of warglaives, but a few specs or classes will end up being stuck with just the one option. There's only a singular strength two-handed weapon right now, and I know it probably isn't on a lot of players' list of important details they want to see in the next raid, but there's only a crossbow available for hunters. They could have at least put a bow in place of the second crossbow to give us some more variety in models and whatnot, but I guess having two crossbows which share the exact same model does save a bit of time at the end of the day. As a quick note, this is still the public test round footage, so I could be barking up the wrong tree right now, and a few things could change by the time this goes live. Just keep that in mind. For the most part, I really like these weapons, and I can see myself building a few sets around some of them quite easily. The Intellect Dagger looks really cool, and I love the surging glow thing in the middle. I think that could make for an awesome rogue dagger too, actually, though it would be a bit harder to get your hands on an intellect dagger as a rogue. The Demon Hunter Warglaives are one of my favourites from this little set as well. Maybe it's because they appear to be quite large and smooth and shiny, but the colour scheme also lends itself quite well here. I'll try to get a few colour variations on screen for you so you can see how these weapons look in a variety of difficulties. The weapons with gold and silver for the metal are mostly from Mythic, so that's the last tier of these weapons that will be available. The colour scheme is kind of all over the place right now between difficulties. A few of them don't really seem to fit in, maybe that's just because it's PTR, but if you want to check them out for yourself you can always hop onto the PTR quite easily. Now, on a personal note, one thing that I am hoping for is that the wand doesn't have good stats, at least for me. Even though it's a really pretty wand, I absolutely despise using them. I can't even tell you how many times I ninja pulled bosses at the start of this expansion because of wands. I reckon they should get rid of the auto shoot mechanic, but what are you going to do? Do you have a favourite weapon skin or colour from what we've seen so far? It's the Warglaive, isn't it? I don't blame you, it's a very shiny weapon. Let's move on to some new weapon models from Mechagon. I'm not too sure if some of them are placeholder or if they are purposefully reusing some other models from Battle for Azeroth, but about half of the weapons in Mechagon aren't actually new models right now. Again, we are in PTR phase, so things could change, but I just wanted to give you a heads up because I'm only going to look over the new models that were added, so if it looks like there aren't that many weapons coming from Mechagon, you know, the ones that aren't here just aren't a new model. One of the coolest weapons from this dungeon is definitely the staff. Who doesn't want a little Tesla coil on the top of their staff? No one, that's who everybody wants it, and you actually have two chances to get your hands on it because two items share the same model. I kind of wish that wasn't the case so we could get some real variety in here, but Oh well. You can also get a cog tied to a piece of wood to use as a mace. What, that's not exciting enough for you? So a cool thing about Mechagon is that on one side you have the fully mechanized gnomes, and on the complete other end there's a handful of trogs who are running their own little section of the junkyard and completely misuse everything they come across. So this mace probably came from one of the trogs. If you fancy a fancier mace, well, look no further. This one even moves to clamp down on your enemies, or just to help you readjust the bolts on your new shiny Mechanocat mount. Now, maybe we got ahead of ourselves by saying the staff was the best model coming out of Mechagon. Maybe the best new model coming in the new dungeon is this new axe. Yes, it's an axe. You might be thinking, well, no, that's a blowtorch. How am I ever expected to cut anything with a blowtorch? Alright, well, maybe you can't, but I'm sure it's still going to hurt when you hit someone with it, and that's all that matters really, isn't it? And then we have one more weapon here that's new from what I can tell, but it's a good one. The crossbow only thing in Raid might be disappointing, but hunters should be happy to know that they can get themselves a ray gun from the Mechagon dungeon. How cool is that? Gnome and goblin hunters are going to have a field day with this one. I'm sure it's going to match the gnome heritage armor perfectly as well. Sadly, there either isn't any new armor models coming in the Mechagon dungeon, or they just aren't in the PTR yet, so if anything turns up I'll be sure to pop it into a future video for you. So let's have a look at the armor sets that we do have in game, the Nazjatar raid sets, starting with the cloth set. It looks like the small cloaks have made a comeback because I think pretty much every set comes with one by the looks of things. There will probably be a long cloak in the raid as well, but anyway, the cloth set looks interesting, quite bright colours which vary a lot between each difficulty. The gold trim is really nice from the earlier difficulties, and then Heroic has a silver trim armour with white and gold colourings. I'm going to enjoy that one on my priest for sure. The mythic set adds in a few extra elements, as we should expect by now, and the overall theme totally reflects Azara after she made a deal with N'Zoth. You can almost see his eyes just peeking through the orange marks all over this set. The leather set looks pretty decent too. You can see the various Naga themed elements on the shoulders and headpiece, and the colours are a bit more muted when compared to the cloth set. There's a bit of scaled webbing here and there too, which helps sell the look. I think the normal and heroic colours are a bit more flashy. I really love that blue on the normal set. The green of the heroic is nice, but probably not the one I would keep for any of my transmog sets. When we get to the mythic set, I'm actually not all too thrilled. There's some new additions in there, but it's not really a great deal, and something that was added in actually bothers me. I think this set works better without a mask across the face. The colours also aren't too exciting, and overall I would probably stick to one of the lesser difficulty sets if I were wanting to use some of this fishy gear for a transmog set. Definitely not what you want to hear when it comes to the super special mythic set. Moving on, we have the mail set. I want to preface this real quick by saying I'm kind of glad I don't play a hunter anymore, but don't let that prejudice you. Mail gear always seems to take a back seat when compared to the others, but let's see what we have to work with. The first thing I know a lot of hunters will complain about is the dress, and I can tell you that there is one chest piece that isn't a full dress in the Nazjatar raid, so you won't be stuck with the dress the entire time, just most of the time. I do like the scaled feather look on the helm, the chest and the shoulders. I think that brings everything together quite nicely. The colour schemes are also pretty nice for the most part. Getting into the mythic gear, we have a few more changes when compared to the leather set, and it's actually adding to the set in a really nice way. The extra glowy fins add a bit of a border to the shoulders and head from the front, and the orange works well with the rest of the set. I don't think that one is too bad actually, better than the leather mythic set at any rate. And last but not least, we have the plate set. For me, plate sets are typically either really cool or just way too thick. This one is kind of riding the line, I think. The shoulders seem quite big and bulky, but most of the set is actually more slim. There's a nice chainmail effect for some of the undergarment parts too, like the upper arm, the inner leg, and on the hands. It kind of gives you a feel of an armor set that's built up of layers, rather than just one huge unit slapped onto a random adventuring hero. I don't think the colour scheme works all too well on the plate set though. Everything seems a bit dull in comparison to the other armor types, though I guess plate is usually more greys and browns, isn't it? They don't have the same kind of freedom to play around with frilly lace and silk and whatnot. The Mythic set is kind of a halfway mark between leather and mail. They added the same fin things onto the shoulders and the same glow into the belt and boots, but I don't think it works quite as well as the mail set. They also decided to add in a full face mask, which you might like, I guess, but personally I don't really care for. The overall colour scheme of the Mythic variant does look quite a bit better than the other difficulties for plate though. If you want to check out any of these models for yourself, they're very easily previewed on the public test realm, so hop on and have a look at all the new stuff. You can also test out the new Essence ability Heart of Azeroth stuff really easily right now too, if you're curious about that. But that's all the new weapon and armor models from Nazjatar and the Mechagon dungeon, for now at least. So that's it for this video. Which armor set was your favourite? Do you like the look of your mains armor type Nazjatar set? If not, what don't you like and what would you like to see instead? Leave all your thoughts in the comment section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon. You can see their names floating by on screen. If you want to join these lovely guys and gals, you can find a link in the description below. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.